And now straight on to the third speaker, Sue Hoyle, who is the director of the Clore Leadership Programme, and in previous existences was dance director at the Arts Council and also executive director of the Place for its reopening. Sue.
I wasn't sure what to talk about, but I decided I would talk about leadership. That's probably what you're expecting me to talk about. And at the moment, of all the books that have been written on leadership, and there are tens of thousands, the one that I recommend is this one, which is just been published by Demos, and it takes the Royal Shakespeare Company as its starting point. It's called Altogether, A Creative Approach to Organisational Change. It's a great read, but I'm going to put that one down for now because I think I'm going to explain to you, I hope I'm going to persuade you, that the rest of the world can learn a huge amount from dance about leadership. So this is my thesis. Now, in this grey book that I'm going to refer to for a minute, all the changes that are currently taking place are described. The things that any organisation is having to deal with, technology, the speed at which organisations need to function to remain competitive, the way in which problems need to be solved quickly by bringing together people not formed in departments, but people formed often in ad hoc groups who can combine different knowledge, skills and networks, the way in which organisations have to outsource to cut costs, and the roles that are increasingly specialised, so leaders no longer are seen as the ultimate source of knowledge. The book talks about the importance of retaining talent, keeping the experts within an organisation, and recognising that the kind of rewards they're seeking are not only financial, would that they were there, but also emotional, motivational rewards. And it also talks about the way in which organisations have to operate in virtual as well as physical spaces. More and more people, therefore, are frontline. It's a good read. It's the job of leaders, it says, to develop organisational interconnectedness. It's impossible now to micromanage specialised knowledge-driven functions. Leaders have to develop responsibility, honesty and trust that enable people to work together. Now, things are changing, as the book says, but they're also challenging. Felicity has already referred to the kind of cuts that we're about to see right across all government-sponsored bodies and beyond. And in the United States, where the recession began before it began here, the legacy of that recession has been, I'm sorry to say, many arts managers feeling completely burnt out, tired of struggling to create interesting programming whilst balancing their books and appeasing their nervous boards. So what do leaders need, and what do leaders in dance need in 2010? Well, from what I've said, they certainly need resilience. They need to put well-being right at the core of everything they do. They need to be strong and open. They need to be courageous. They need to be flexible to see round issues and spot opportunities. They need to be open to collaboration and sharing. And they need to be creative. Now, in amongst all these books on leadership that I dip into now and then, recently I read a survey, it's just been published, of 1,500 leaders from across the corporate and public sectors in 60 nations. And fascinatingly enough, everyone said that, or 80% said that the most important leadership quality for success is creativity. So let's take these qualities, the ones I've started to talk about: resilience, courage, flexibility, openness, creativity. Are these things that can be learned? Can you get qualifications as a leader, or are they things that are innate? Are leaders born, or are they made? Now, historically, Damienette de Valois might have tapped you on the shoulder and told you you're a great dancer and now you're going to lead the Royal Ballet. And lo and behold, fully fledged as a leader, you stepped up to the role. But I'd be out of a job if leaders were not, I believe, made in other ways. And I'm going to move on to talk a bit about the skills as well as the qualities that I think leaders need. When we're talent spotting future leaders for the Clore programme, we look for people who lead authentically, who know themselves and feel confident about being themselves, who can lead with passion, people who can build relationships, who can think strategically in the long term, and really importantly, people who can lead delivery. And I think we haven't, up until recently, placed enough emphasis on the importance of actually doing, of making things happen, of delivering. In other words, the emphasis has been for a long time on leaders having vision, but I think leaders really have to translate that vision into action. They need to be focused, they need to be hands-on where necessary, but they need to be comfortable about delegating. I think they should really make the most of others' ability, capacity, and potential, and understand where that lies. So, one of the things that I would suggest we really need to focus on is not only liberating people to be leaders, but also giving them really strong management skills. They need to, first of all, do the business, as I've just been saying. They need to deliver. They need to understand about finance, fundraising. They need to be able to cut the deals. They need to understand about sustainable business planning. It's great to have good ideas, to be creative, but they need to be entrepreneurial to make those ideas a reality. So first of all, they need management skills to just do the business. Secondly, they need skills to engage with what in business we call customers, to really get the public, to get people engaged in dance. And in fact, that same survey I just talked about of chief executives said that the most important dimension they felt to focus on was getting closer to the customer. And they need to know how to work with people. Outstanding leaders really need to create the conditions for trust and transparency. They need to lead by example, by personal behavior.